What's going on, guys? It's your boy Danny P. I just want to say to everyone that we just bought a fresh new whip. I'd like to introduce everyone to the G-Wagon.
G-Wagon, 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 all the housewives pulling up. I got a lot of toys, 720S pumping Fallout.
Oh, hi. Yeah, as you can see, we got a couple problems. Namely, number one, door doesn't work, but we'll fix that. We lost a couple other things. The ignition doesn't really work. We got a problem with our headlights right now, and the car will kill itself if you don't mess with the engine in about 2 minutes. But it's a 2-liter V4, inline 4, pardon me. It's got 115 horsepower. It's a 5-speed manual, and we're gonna flip it. All right, guys. So for the first step, you're going to take your favorite socket wrench with a 19mm bit, and you're going to need to take off the bolts off your car. However, in our case, our bolt has a special star locking nut. So the previous owner gave us this little tool that attaches to the end of your socket wrench, and then those fit the bolt. Make sure that if you are taking the tires off your car and the bolt is special, do not put a socket wrench on it because you can get the socket wrench stuck. Ask me how I know that. Alright guys, so once you got the tire unscrewed, you're going to need to lift it off the edge and see, wow, come here, look at that. Now we understand why our brakes are working so bad. That pad is nearly to the bottom. Most of the time, your pad shouldn't even get that low. So now we know why our brake pads are bad. This is why we purchased replacement rotors and replacement pads. So we're going to put those on in the next step. But once your tire's off, it's always important and safe to just slide the tire under the car. That way, if your jack system fails, the car won't slam down and you'll have sun protection.
Okay, so after you have your wheel off and it's under there, you're going to go ahead and turn the wheel all the way to one direction. In this case, we turned it right, just so we have a little bit more working room and we're not really getting the wrench stuck in the wheel well. So right here, you can see here you have the caliper and the rotor. So we want to take the caliper off first, and this is going to give us access to the rotor. So in this case, most cars are the same. There's 2 bolts on the back, the top, of the bottom of the caliper that you're going to want to remove. Here you can see the top one here, and the bottom one may or may not be able to see is down there. And once you have those, be careful because it'll drop, and the only thing holding it on will be the brake line, and you don't want to put tension on that or you might have an issue. So just find something to set it on. We might find a little box or something and just set it there while you're working with this.
Alright guys, so if you take a look here, we've got our old rotor and old pad set alongside our new rotor and new pad. And here, if you zoom in close, you'll totally be able to see why we were having a problem. The new rotor is nice and flat, it's perfectly good. This rotor had a huge lip, which caused grinding problems. And if you look here, compared to the new, look how little material was left on the pad. Alright, so let's go ahead and get these installed.
Hey, reverse of the same thing. Okay guys, so it's been a couple days, and the last thing you saw was we put the new rotors and pads on, and we were going to do a brake bleed. So in this video, we're going to show you how to do the final bleed, or this will actually be in the same video, but it's a different day for us. So we're just going to show you, we're going to jack up the car. You can leave the wheels on for this step. It's easier when they're off, but you can do it when it's on. It'll save you a little bit of time, and that's what we're going to do now. Okay, so once you have your car jacked up like this, then you can start the brake bleeding process. So we've actually already done the rear brakes, and you're going to want to do the brakes farthest away from the master cylinder first, and then work towards the ones in the closest, which is, in most cases, the front brakes. The rear brakes first, then the front brakes. So once you have your car jacked up, and you've done the back brakes, what you're going to want to do, pop the hood. We have popped it. And you're going to want to locate your brake cylinder. So ours is right here. It'll probably have this logo on there for the brakes. And you can just unscrew it. Most cars have sensors in them. Just make sure that drips off there. And then you can see your brake fluid in there. So ours is pretty full since we did the back. And the process is going to be the same for the front. So we have chosen this side, so we turn the wheels all the way to the left so we can get to the bleeder valve. Taking off the wheels is probably going to be your best bet, just to make it quicker on you. But since we're limited on time, we're just going to leave the wheels on and hope for the best. So if you can see in there, I can't actually see, but you might be able to see there's a little bleeder valve, or I can feel it right there, where you're going to unscrew, and that's where you're going to bleed the brakes through.
Alright guys, so the process is very simple. First, you're going to take your brake fluid, which is either a .3 or .4. Certain vehicles use different types. And you're going to fill up your brake reservoir, and you're going to close it. After that, you're going to get the person in the car. This is me. You're going to step on your brake pedal, and you're going to push it. If you already have one of your bleeder valves open, it's going to feel really weird because the pedal's just going to keep going till it bottoms out. But you're going to keep pushing it, which is going to let brake fluid seep out of the bleeder valve, which is on the brake caliper. And then you're going to keep pushing it until you see clear liquid come through. That's new brake fluid. From that point, your second person will take a ratchet, and they will, while you're pressing the brake pedal at the same time as pushing the brake pedal, you will close it, and that'll seal the system.
Okay, so you're going to want to make sure that once you fill it, top it off, that it's open, because if it's not, then it's not going to have any air, and the fluid will not flow through the system. So just top it off, leave it hanging like that, whatever works. Just be really careful that you don't leave it empty when you're bleeding the brakes, because like we said before, you don't want air in your brakes.
Alright, so while my partner gets ready, I'll explain what I'm going to be doing in the car. Once he gives me the signal that he's cracked open the bleeder valve, I'm going to start pushing the brake pedal very slowly until I start feeling, until it reaches a break point where I'll be actually pushing liquid through the system. It will feel much harder than when the car is on because the car brake booster, which actually helps supply the brakes, is not active right now. So I'm just waiting on a call from Garrett to tell me when he's ready.
Okay, so coming down over here, you can see we have a pan ready because there is going to be fluid spraying over the place, depending upon how hard you push the brakes. You don't want to jab them, you just want to push them gently so the brake fluid doesn't spray. You can see we have a little bit of fluid over there, but it's going to happen. It's just avoid it as much as possible. So you see here we have a little bit of liquid because we already did a little bit of it. So what you're going to want to do is you want to take your wrench, it's fairly small, and you're going to put it over the bleeder valve. See if I can get it on there. It's a little bit of a hard view. Okay, you're going to put it on the bleeder valve, and you're going to loosen it. So now that I have it loosened, Daniel can pump the brakes freely, and we should see fluid coming out.
Alright, so I'm going to start pumping the brakes real slowly. I'll reach that brake, and I'll push past it.
Okay, so now you can see there's some fluid coming out. It's not a huge flow, but it's enough, and that's what we want to see. Once we see some more clear fluid coming out there, we'll know that we can close it off. And you're going to want to close it off in the middle of when your partner is pumping the brake. That way you close it off the line when there's no air in the system. So I'm going to let him give it a few more pumps, and then we're going to go ahead and close it right in the middle of one pump.
So you ready?
So now, after he's had a few pumps, I'm going to get the wrench ready by putting it on here. I'm going to tighten it by hand a little bit first, just to get it close. Oh, there we go. There's a little bit more clear fluid. Okay, so now I'm going to put the wrench on, and I'm going to get ready to tighten down the brakes. Sorry, it's a little bit of a hard view here. I'll try and get a better angle. Give him a few more pumps. It's going to get a little on your wrench, but that's nothing you can do about that. So tell me when you're in the middle of a pump.
All right, ready? Here's the pump. 3, 2, pumping.
We're going to go ahead and do that one more time.
All right, we'll try it one more time. Ready? 3, 2, here's the pump.
All right, and now we're tight, and it's as easy as that. So The valve should be nice and tight, and you should be able to pump the brakes and nothing will come out.
And then back in the car, if you try pumping the brakes, you should realize that whatever small break existed is now gone because the system is once again sealed. Alright, to repeat the process on the other side, all you simply do is refill up the cap, and you just do it in identical version, but on the other side.
Okay, so once you have all 4 brakes individually bled, and you make sure this is topped off and capped, and everything's good to go, you can take it for a little test spin, and if you've done it all properly, you should be able to feel that the brakes have no play, and there's no spongy feeling in them, which means you have no air, and it's all fluid, which is exactly what you want, and that's how you safely drive around.
Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed what you saw, and now you understand how to properly do the braking system in your car. Make sure to hit that like button if you like what you saw, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And to wrap it up, this week's random fact is how many times I had to climb out of the car while filming this. 8.